America will not tolerate hostile actions in the Caribbean. That warning echoed again overnight as tensions between the US and Venezuela spiked sharply. At 5:40 a.m. local time, the Caribbean looked calm. The sea was flat, the sky was clear. Then the sound arrived first. A deep, violent roar ripped across the coast as two US Navy F-18 Super Hornets burst into view near the Gulf of Venezuela. They were flying at more than 1,200 miles per hour, less than 60 miles from shore, moving southwest, parallel to Venezuelan airspace. There was no radio call, no public notice, just speed, noise, and intent. Instead of turning away, the jets tightened their pattern. They circled once, then again. From the ground, it was impossible to miss. This was not a mistake. This was the US, flying directly along one of Venezuela's most sensitive coastlines. Inside Venezuelan radar rooms, warning tones lit up, screens shifted, tracks closed fast. Controllers leaned forward as distances shrank second by second. Procedures kicked in. Phones rang. Orders were repeated. This was not a navigation error. This was pressure. A message sent without words. Venezuela believed this was routine activity. What they did not realize yet was simple and dangerous. They were provoking a force that had already planned the next move. If you want to follow this confrontation as it unfolds, subscribe now. This story is only beginning. What happened over the Gulf of Venezuela was not random, and it was not symbolic. This location matters more than most people realize. The Gulf of Venezuela sits next to key oil terminals, air bases, and coastal radar sites. Anything that moves through this airspace reaches land fast. That is why Venezuelan radar systems here stay active day and night. There is no downtime, no safe window. When US jets fly this close, they force every radar operator to react. Screens must turn on, frequencies must transmit, and once that happens, patterns begin to show. Response times repeat. Weak spots become visible. This is how modern pressure works. For the US Navy, this operation is about control, not conflict. The goal is not to fire first. The goal is to stay present long enough that the other side cannot relax. Pilots rotate in shifts. Jets launch, recover, refuel, and launch again. Sleep is short. The tempo never slows. For Venezuelan crews on the ground, the pressure feels heavier. They do not know which flight matters most. They do not know if the next pass is different from the last one. Every alert could be routine, or it could be the moment things change. No missiles have been fired, no bombs dropped. But fuel is being burned. Focus is being drained. Fatigue is building. This is not about one flight. It is about sending a message without saying a word. If real conflict ever comes to this region, it will not start suddenly. It will arrive after weeks of testing, measuring, and wearing the other side down. And that process is already underway. The first confirmed radar contact appears seconds after the sound fades. A single dot flashes on the screen. Then another. Inside a Venezuelan radar station near Punta Cardón, the room goes quiet. An operator leans closer, eyes locked on the display as the color shifts. Green turns yellow. Yellow turns red. That means one thing. There is a real aircraft behind that signal. Confirmed. Military speed, someone says softly, almost to himself. Air defense systems power up across the coast. Not to fire, not yet. This is the observation phase. Every move is logged. Every second is recorded. Phones ring. Orders are repeated. No one raises their voice, but everyone feels the pressure building in the room. At the same time, far offshore, the rhythm aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford does not change. Flight crews already expected this response. Jets rotate on schedule. One lands hot. Another launches moments later. Steam clears. The deck crew steps back. The next aircraft is already moving forward. An EA-18G Growler slides into position above the Super Hornets. Within moments, Venezuelan radar images begin to behave strangely. One contact fades, another splits. A third appears where nothing was before. Screens that were cleaned seconds earlier now look crowded and unstable. A technician wipes sweat from his hands and asks the question everyone is thinking. What am I even looking at right now? No one answers him. Above the water, the Super Hornets hold perfect spacing. No sudden turns, no aggressive dives, no radio chatter. Just controlled flight, lap after lap, forcing the systems below to react again and again. This is not about speed. It is about control. And control favors the side that stays calm the longest. Inside the control room, an officer watches the distance numbers update. They close slightly, then stabilize. Reaction time is shrinking, but no one gives the order. Not yet. Every finger hovers inches from switches they have trained for years not to touch without permission. This is the first real response on both sides. Not missiles, not warnings, just discipline under pressure. And here is the real question. Is the US deliberately pushing Venezuela closer to a breaking point? Or is Venezuela right to absorb the pressure and wait it out? Press 1 if you think the US is testing limits on purpose. Press 9 if you believe Venezuela is making the smarter move. In moments like this, discipline decides who keeps control and who loses it. The pattern does not break, it tightens. Hour after hour, the Super Hornets return along the same corridor, same coastline, same pressure. Each pass looks familiar, but no two are exactly the same. Altitude shifts by a few thousand feet. Speed changes slightly. Angles adjust just enough to force new calculations on the ground. In close air operations, small details matter. A few degrees of turn can change reaction time. A few seconds can change everything. Along the coast, Venezuelan Su-30 fighters move to full alert. Pilots sit strapped in their seats, helmets on, engines ready. Missiles hang under the wings, fueled and armed. The aircraft are prepared to launch in minutes. Yet the order remains unchanged. Observe, do not engage. The tension comes from what does not happen. Electronic interference spreads wider with every cycle. Civilian GPS signals begin to fail across parts of Zulia and Falcon. Drivers miss turns on roads they know by memory. Cargo ships in the Gulf slow down and adjust course. Commercial flights quietly reroute without public explanation. No sound but the ocean. Then the roar returns. On the deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford, the pace never eases. Jets land hot, tires smoking. Fuel hoses connect. Engines spool again. Crew members move on instinct, not conversation. Everyone knows this is not an exercise. Fatigue builds, but the schedule does not bend. On land, it is worse. Radar operators stare at screens filled with noise. Contacts appear, disappear, then reappear in new positions. Each pass forces another decision. Each decision drains focus. When pressure has no end time, rest becomes impossible. This is escalation without explosions. No shots fired, no warnings broadcast, just constant presence pressing against the limits of patience and control. And this is where the situation turns dangerous, because endurance becomes the weapon. If this pressure continues, someone will have to blink. The question is who? Press 1 if you believe the US is intentionally pushing Venezuela toward a mistake. Press 9 if you think Venezuela can absorb this pressure longer than Washington expects. The jets turn again, the cycle continues, and the margin for error keeps shrinking. Then something changes, and it happens quietly. In the middle of another routine pass, a new radar contact appears where nothing existed seconds earlier. It is faint at first, barely visible. Then it sharpens. Operators lean forward, screens refresh, numbers update, and then, just as suddenly, the contact disappears. Some think it is a glitch, others blame interference. No one speaks for several seconds. What no one realizes yet is that this is not an error. It is a decoy signal, a reflected trace meant to pull attention away from the real flight path. While radar eyes chase the ghost, the main Super Hornet formation completes another clean pass along the coast, untouched and uninterrupted. On the ground, controllers compare notes. The data does not line up. Tracks do not behave the way they should. Reaction times stretch. Confidence slips. Above them, the jets remain steady. No sudden moves. No sign that anything unusual is happening. That is the point. The crews know something the ground teams do not yet fully understand. The airspace is being tested layer by layer. Radar behavior, operator habits, decision timing. The danger here is not the decoy itself, it is what it reveals. Each false signal forces attention in the wrong direction. Each correction comes a second too late, and in air defense, seconds matter. The crews on the ground do not know it yet, but this moment marks a shift. The pressure is no longer just physical, it is psychological. Trust in the systems begins to crack. This is where the balance starts to tilt. One side controls what is real, the other struggles to decide what to believe. If you think this electronic twist gives the US a decisive edge, press 1. If you believe Venezuela can adapt and regain control, press 9. The jets turn again, unseen by the eyes that followed the wrong signal, and the test moves into its most dangerous phase. Late into the night, the pattern tightens one final time. The sea below is black. Along the coastline, cities glow faintly, unaware how close the night is to breaking. Then the sky ignites. Afterburners flare, slicing bright lines through the darkness. Seconds later, the sound follows deep and crushing, rolling across the shore and far inland. Inside command rooms, screens glow with dense data. Contacts overlap and hesitate. Distances tick down by the second. Hands hover above switches no one wants to touch. Fingers frozen between training and consequence. A short US radio call cuts through the silence. Maintain pattern. Nothing more. The Super Hornets hold altitude and spacing. No dives, no sharp turns. The calm geometry is deliberate, stripping emotion away and forcing the other side to choose between action and restraint. Every second of discipline increases the cost of a mistake. On the ground, Venezuelan officers watch displays grow unstable. One track drifts, another jumps briefly. Reaction windows shrink, margins for error thin. Breathing slows, no one looks away. Seconds pass, nothing fires. That silence says everything. The line was approached, tested, and deliberately not crossed. Outside, the roar fades as the jets turn, then returns for another controlled pass. Not a threat, but a reminder. Not an attack, but pressure held steady. Far offshore, on the deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford, recovery operations resume. Engines scream, tires strike steel, procedures reset with mechanical precision. To an outsider, it looks routine. To those involved, the night has changed something permanently. This was the peak not because weapons were used, but because restraint held under maximum pressure. One wrong move, one delayed order, one misread signal could have rewritten the outcome in seconds. The jets fade into the night. The tension remains because when nothing explodes at this distance, both sides know exactly how close they came. By the next morning, the flights do not stop. The same Super Hornets return along the same routes, at the same distances, with the same calm precision. From the outside, it looks routine. Inside command rooms on both sides, nothing feels routine anymore. Venezuela responds with public moves. Training flights increase, cameras roll, statements are released. Officials speak of sovereignty and readiness, but behind the scenes, the cost is growing. Fuel stocks drop. Crews rotate without real rest. Radar teams work long hours under constant strain. On the US side, the tone remains measured. Officials describe the operation as lawful activity in international airspace. No threats, no celebration, just consistency. The carrier stays on station. The rotation schedule holds. That contrast is the real result of this standoff. No aircraft were lost. No missiles were fired. No official line was crossed. Yet something changed. The balance of attention shifted. One side controlled when pressure started, how long it lasted, and how close it came to the edge. This operation showed how modern power works. You do not need explosions to send a warning. You only need presence that cannot be ignored. You force decisions. You drain focus. You shape the environment until the other side reacts on your terms. What happened over the Gulf of Venezuela was not the end of anything. It was a demonstration, a test run, proof that pressure alone can move the situation closer to the line without ever crossing it. And that is what makes this moment dangerous. Because the next test may come faster, the margin may be thinner, and there may be less time to pause before someone decides not to wait.